Good afternoon. Sorry. Ooh, thought I was all ready to go. Good afternoon, and welcome to the first session of OLC4O for the Term 2B. For Term 2B at WASA Distance Education Center. So thank you for tuning in, for listening, for expressing an interest in this course. I am your instructor, Mike Laverty. I will talk a little bit about talk a bit about myself as a teacher, give students some ways to contact me, and yeah, today's course is, or sorry, today's class is all about introductions, right? So I am going to do my best to introduce the course. We're going to do a little bit of an overview, and then we'll jump in at the end, and we'll have a look at one of the assignments, the first assignment in this course. So I think it's really important to get yourself off on a strong foot, and just know that a lot of people have questions after they review the course material, and sometimes, I think the most common thing that I've found is that people just have a hard time getting started when they start this course. They've either been out of school for a while, or they're just feeling a bit tentative about their reading and writing skills. So I'm just here to reassure you that I'm sure you do have those skills, and I know what it feels like to be out of practice, and to sort of not know how to get started and how to get over those uncertainties and just how to get the ball rolling. So that's really what today's class is all about, just having a look at what this course entails and giving you some advice on how to just jump right in, how to get started, because that's really what it's all about. It's just about getting started, getting some words down on the page, handing them into your teacher, and then getting some feedback from there, right? So after today's class, I'm hoping that you can sort of jump right into that first assignment and reach out to your teacher, that's myself, and to see if you can get some feedback on your writing. So that's probably my number one takeaway from today's class, is that I would like you to put some words down on the page and send them my way, or at least just send me some questions. Just get the process started on that first assignment, and then everything else is going to fall into place after that. So welcome to OLC4O. That is the Ontario Literacy Course. So that's what the OLC stands for. That's the OLC stands for Ontario Literacy Course. The 4 stands for grade 12. You could be in grade 11 or 12 to take this course. And the other O stands for open level, as opposed to E is for preparation English, C is for college, U is for university. So that's what that course code really means. So welcome to OLC4O, and thank you for joining me as we look into these classes together. We'll have many classes together. I believe we'll have 35 classes in this term. And this is my second time teaching this course. I am a relatively new teacher here with WASA Distance Education, so I'm kind of just getting my feet wet and learning how these assignments work. Prior to becoming a teacher at WASA, I was a public librarian for about 10 years, so I worked in public libraries and loved that, but now I'm transitioning and moving back into the world of education. So my, outside of WASA, I have a lovely wife named Natalie. We've got 2 young boys, Isaac and Mac, who I love dearly, and I love playing music. I love walking my dog Snowy. I have just recently discovered gardening, so I'm really looking forward to getting outside, digging in some soil, and Yeah, and playing hockey. Love playing hockey. Can't wait to watch some playoff hockey as it starts today. All right, so every class will start the same way in that I'll introduce myself, let you know what class we're on, give a general overview on what we're going to be working on today or for that particular class. I like to put some important dates up and remind students about those dates. So we are, of course, in week 1 of term 2B. We will meet for 9 weeks in total. So there's 9 weeks of classes. Usually we have 4 classes a week, and we meet Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday live at 1 o'clock. There will be no class on May 22nd, 2023. That's the May long weekend, so that's a holiday. So on days like that, the WASA building is closed. So we're closed that day, which means, of course, that we don't broadcast. There's no choruses. So just keep in mind that on that date, your learning center and other things in your community may also be shut down. But I guess more importantly, as it relates to our organization, there may not be someone here to answer your questions. There won't be anyone here to answer your questions on that day. And I'll put up some contact information for our organization in a few slides. Graduation day is June 15th. So if you are just starting OLC4O and it's today's date, April 17th, or it's around that date, you just have to know that you've got less than 2 months to go in terms of handing in your coursework, right? So you've got less than 2 months to go. You've got there's 9 weeks of instruction, but those 9 weeks of instruction are going to end around the time that you have to have your final exam submitted here. So if you want to get a credit and you want to pass this class before the end of the 2023 school year, you really have to stay on top of your assignments. It's very critical that you do that, and you should stay in touch with your teacher, stay in touch with your DEC, reach out and get help in any way you can. Yes, yeah. So really got to stay on top of that, and we have lots of supports here for you at WASA, and you can reach out for some potential tutoring at your learning center. That may or may not be the case. It just depends on where you live, but there is enough time to get this course done, but only if you have let's say like an hour or so every night to work on those assignments. So that's a realistic time frame that you should probably consider. Do you have an hour every night where you can devote it to this course, to reading the course material, to getting your assignments out of the way, right? Like do you actually have that time? That you can realistically carve out on a night-to-night basis. So here's our course schedule. Here's the way that's going to work. So OLC4O is divided amongst 4 units. So with my classes, we're going to go over all 4 units, and then we will talk about every assignment in those 4 units. So Unit 1, Unit 1 is a larger unit. Units 2, 3, and 4 don't have as many assignments and as much material to cover. So what I did last time I taught this course was, we used the first 3 weeks of the course to talk about Unit 1, and then from there we did weeks 4 and 5 for Unit 2, week 6 and 7 for Unit 3. Unit 4 can probably be done in a week, maybe a little bit. So the last 2 weeks we will wrap up Unit 4, and then we'll get you ready to write a final exam. So this class, whoops, I still got my old information up there from last term. OLC4O broadcasts live Monday to Thursday from 1 p.m. to 1:50 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can always phone into the studio. So if you're listening to us live, and that's on the airwaves at 91.9 FM or Bell ExpressVu channel 972, you can phone the studio. The toll-free number is 1-800-465-7144, or it is locally 1-807-737-4017. And you can also participate with these classes on Zoom. So I'll demonstrate that in a second. So after I'm done my initial slide deck, I'm going to show a demonstration of how you can contact me through a variety of methods. We're going to have a look at the chorus outline, and then I'll also just pull up a quick Zoom screen so you can see how that works. Most teachers at WASA offer their courses on Zoom as well. So in addition to the live radio broadcast, there's the possibility of joining in on a Zoom session. So what you do is you go to a browser and go to zoom.us, and then you're going to join a meeting, and that's where you enter that meeting code. So 417-6699-799. And all of my classes will be put on my YouTube channel. So that's Laverty WASA. So that's Laverty space WASA. So if you go to youtube.com or open up the YouTube app on your phone, search Laverty WASA, you will find my channel, and you will find some playlists, right? And what you'll find there is you'll find my OLC4O Term 2B playlist. That was not last school year, but last year, 2022 and 2023 actually. So that was done during our later fall, early winter term. So you'll also find OLC4O Term 2B, right? So you'll also find two other courses that I teach. That's ENG3E and ENG4E. All right, very, very important topic to discuss, how to submit your work. So, before we jump into the chorus and talk about it, we should spend some time just talking about just how you actually submit your assignments, okay? So there's a variety of ways there's a variety of ways that you can do this. So you can always reach out and talk to your DEC, so at your learning center, and they can scan and they can email and they can fax student work to the WASA building, right? So so reach out, see if you can investigate that as an option, talking to your DEC, seeing if they can help you out, and they can take your work and just make sure it gets to the right teacher. You can scan and email your work as well. So you can send that to studentwork@nnec.on.ca. And my email address, which is mlaverty@nnecschools.org. So you can email your work in directly. So if you're typing it into a Word document or onto a Google Doc, you can you can share documents. So really it's whatever way that you're the most comfortable with, right? So if you have lots of technological skills and you're used to Google Drive, then you can share work with me through a Google Drive account. You can just simply upload it to or add an attachment to an email and send it that way. You can fax pages if you've got access to a fax machine. That number is 1-800-463-7852. You can take photos with your phone and then just email those to me, or we can communicate on Facebook Messenger. And I suggest to students to get the Adobe Scan app on their devices. If you have a smartphone, I love the Adobe Scan app. It lets you take pictures and then you can edit them and change them and just make them look better, and that's a really important consideration, right? So when you're sending work to myself, or you're sending work to a teacher, you've got to make sure that work is legible, and then we can read it, right? So and that so you get your full grades. There's also a mail slot at the side of the WASA building, so between the post office and the back lane by our building, the little parking lot where the teachers park. So there's a drop box. So you could actually you could drop off a physical a physical copy of your work if you have it, and if you're in Sioux Lookout. But otherwise, you're sending that work to us through distance, through email, through Messenger, through a fax, something like that. I strongly encourage that students submit their work in say batches of groups, maybe 5 to 10 assignments. So I think it's better to have a small group of assignments. I will say, for your first, you can, just, for your first submission, you can send, just one assignment if you want. Especially if you're having a hard time getting started, that kind of thing. But once you get the ball rolling, that's sort of what I suggest to you do, and that's about half of a term, half of a unit. There's about there's 40 questions, and they're split more or less evenly between the 4 units. So once you got about half a unit done or so, then you want to submit that work to me. Please include your name, your community, the course code, that's OLC4O, and assignment information. So that's the assignment number, right? So yeah, Unit 1, assignment number 5, right? So you just want to include as much information as you can when you submit your work. Best way to contact me is through email, and that's mlaverty, MLAVERTY, at nnecschools.org. You can find me on Facebook or Messenger, so LAVERTY space WASA. You can phone the WASA office at 1-807-737-1488. I'm at extension 2211. You can just dial 0 to get the receptionist. And by phoning 1-800-667-3703, you'll get our free long-distance number. So that's how you can reach out and get in touch with someone here at the WASA office. A very good idea would be to, especially if you think you're close to graduating, or if you have any questions about plotting your course towards graduation, then what you want to do is reach out to to a counselor here at WASA. We've got several counselors and several other academic specialists who know the best way for you to graduate, and they can say, you know, take this course and then take that course. They'll help you kind of put it all together. If you want to contact me, my office hours are 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So I just want to mention that before we, before you get into the course itself, that if you want to contact me, this is when I'm going to be the most responsive. I don't really check my Facebook outside of those hours or my email, but when I come into work in the mornings, the first thing I do is check my emails and just make sure that I'm on top of your communications, right? So just find the way that works best for you, phoning me, emailing me, sending me a Facebook message, you know, just find a way that works for you. Reach out to me and I will do my best to get in touch with you as soon as I can. All right, so here is the first part of today's lesson. So I think we'll have time to take care of all these, and we may not have enough time to delve into that first assignment, but there's a lot of stuff to cover in the first class. Just want to make sure that you are you're set up for success, and you know what to expect as we move forward, okay? So we're going to look at the study guide. We'll have a look at OLC4O Unit 1, and we'll just have a brief discussion about the novel Jimmy Comes Home, right? So those are the three documents that you need to get started right now. So please reach out to your learning center or reach out to the WASA office or talk to me directly if you don't have these documents. So if you need the study guide, you need Unit 1. You should also have Units 2, 3, and 4, but for sure you need that Unit 1 PDF file to get yourself started. And you need a copy of Jimmy Comes Home. So either a physical copy or we have scanned copies, like sort of like an ebook version on PDF that you can have a look at. Okay. So with that in mind, I will start a new share here. I'm just gonna save this with my markup, and we'll have a look at let's have a quick review of our study guide. So I won't go through this in great detail as I did cover quite a bit of this with the initial part of this class, but just use this study guide. It's got a lot of useful information on it. It tells you how to contact let's make sure I'm actually sharing that. Yeah. So at the top of the study guide, it tells you some various ways that you can contact the WASA Distance Education Center. Got our mailing address, we've got our phone number, fax number, toll-free telephone number. And then at the bottom of the page, you've got all the ways that you can contact your teacher. That's myself, Mike Laverty, so that's how you can contact me. My email address, my Facebook account, my YouTube account, and our broadcast time. So like I said, so in term 1B, we already broadcast a full term of OLC4O, and then we're broadcasting the second one now. So as of today, so that's Monday to Thursday, 1 p.m. to 1:55 Central Standard Time. So we've got a description of the course, which is taken from the Ministry of Education's official curriculum documents. We've got the course material, so again, you need Units 1 through 4 and the novel Jimmy Comes Home, in addition to the study guide. All right, here's the evaluation. So that this is very important to keep in mind. So your unit assignments are worth 70% of your final grade in this course. Your culminating activity is found in Unit 4. It's a portfolio. So throughout this course, you're going to do a lot of reading, and then you're going to do a lot of writing. You're going to produce a lot of content. You're going to have a lot of different kinds of documents that you've produced. And the intent here is that it's meant for you to be proud of your accomplishments, right? So you write them, you collect them, you write rough drafts, you write final drafts. So you work through your ideas, you make them better, and then you collect them in a portfolio. And we'll talk about portfolios a lot, but just know that it's a collection of your own writing, and it should be something you're proud of, and it really documents your journey as a student and how much you've learned in the course of taking how much you've learned by taking a course and paying attention and working on those skills, right? So once you've got all the unit assignments done and you start to work on the culminating activity, and once you finish the culminating activity, then you will write a final exam. And that is, of course, is the remaining 20% of your mark in this course. So we do have some general guidelines here. So one is that at the end of the week you send all the work that you've completed. So that might be a good schedule. Um, you may want to create a folder or some kind of a document, and then whenever you feel after that week or whenever you feel you have enough assignments done, then you can hand those in to your teacher or your DEC to get them graded, right? And yeah, it's important to note you don't need to finish an entire unit. And like I mentioned before, I actually prefer it if students are sending me assignments on a timely basis, right? So sending me say a batch of like say 5 assignments at a time, and that's really important is so I can give you feedback and I can guide you along your process, right? So that's the way you're going to learn throughout this course, especially when it comes to your writing, right? So your writing skills are going to improve considerably after you get some feedback from your teacher. And I spend a lot of time grading students' work and giving them suggestions on how they can improve their writing, right? So that's a really important part of this class is writing, getting feedback on your writing, and then trying to incorporate that feedback on your next assignment, and just slowly and gradually you will see your writing skills start to improve. So here's the each unit has a theme. So unit 1 is reading and writing for personal success. Unit 2 is voices through reading and writing. Unit 3 is literacy in our changing world, and Unit 4 is demonstrating success in reading and writing, right? So that's Unit 4 is where you sort of demonstrate all you've learned and taken in this course, okay? So yeah, so we don't need to we don't need to go into too much detail, but I would just like you to review this course. Sorry, I would like you to review the course study guide. Make sure you go through a lot of this, especially the details at the back. There's some information about using Google accounts and how to, some standards and some ways to behave. And so, yeah, just have a look at that, especially, how to how to submit assignments, and lots of useful information about accessing previous recordings. So just have a look through there. It should answer a lot of your questions, and if you still have questions, that's totally fine. Please reach out to myself or your DC or someone working with WASA, and they can give you a hand with that. I'd like to pull up one of the units, right? So this is the Ontario Literacy Course, OLC4O. This is Unit 1, Reading and Writing for Personal Success. So all of the units follow a similar format. You'll see my contact information on the cover page, and then you'll get an introduction to that unit, or to the course in this case. So the course is broken down to 4 units. Each one has 5 lessons. So that makes for a total of 20 lessons. And you've got a breakdown. Each lesson is described. So there's the first 5 assignments in lesson 1. So we'll start with lesson 1, and we'll go through these assignments, right? So you've got lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, lesson 5. So you've got the unit. The first unit gives you a comprehensive listing of all of the assignments that are going to come your way. And then on page, what is it? On page 5 of the handout, you get to lesson 1, which is all about me. So assignment 1 is the 7 grandfather teaching. So I think this is where some of the confusion comes in with students, right? So it says assignment 1, but in terms of what you actually do, you have to sort of read this. You have to read this material. So this is the backstory. This is the information, right? So you're getting some information about the 7 grandfather teachings. We are talking about the novel Jimmy Comes Home, and so we're asking ourselves to make some connections between the 7 grandfather teachings, our own life, and you don't have to talk about the novel Jimmy Comes Home in your response. So I think that's probably the number one question that I receive from people when they were answering this question, is you don't have to bring up the 7 grandfather teachings, but you don't have to bring up Jimmy Comes Home, especially if you haven't read the novel yet, you haven't even looked at it. But you do have to understand what the 7 grandfather teachings are, and you have to write about one of them. And as you work through this course and experience the various successes and challenges it will bring, try to keep those 7 grandfather teachings in mind. So for this assignment, you are thinking about the teachings will be the focus of your first assignment. You are to think about each of these teachings and what they mean to you in life. You will then share your thoughts in approximately 1/2 a page of writing in paragraph format. You may want to write down some ideas about each teaching to help you get started with your writing. For example, with regards to wisdom as a teaching, you might want to include such words as knowledge, understanding, and a positive attitude. If need be, you can use a dictionary or a thesaurus for more information. And I'll try to do my best to direct you to some other resources you might want to use throughout this course. So the first assignment is asking you to write 1/2 a page of writing in paragraph format. You're doing a rough copy and a final copy. And that's about as far as I'm going to go on this. Throughout this course, I will I typically won't show the unit handout. I might refer to some of this stuff, but I'll just put the question directly up in my slide deck, and then we'll work on that question together. But so the way you do is you go through, and like I said, just be really careful. Like just pay close attention to the guidelines, right? So pay attention to how long it has to be. So 1/2 a page of writing in paragraph format. Know what you have to talk about. So you have to talk about the 7 grandfather teachings and what they mean to you. And you have to submit 2 copies. You've got to submit a rough copy and a final copy. So I would just pay close attention to that as you're preparing to finish one of these assignments. So pay attention to how long it has to be. Note, what you have to do. Just jot down all of the requirements of that particular assignment. So for this one, as long as you're talking about the 7 grandfather teachings and what they mean to you, you're good to go. So I have to write a 1/2 a page on what the 7 grandfather teachings mean to me, and I have to hand in a rough copy to my teacher, and then I have to hand in a final copy. So each assignment is going to be similar in that way. Like if, for example, if we go down and we look at assignment 2, and assignment 2 is growing up in my community, then I can scroll down here and we can see in bold, this one's going to be 2/3. So instead of a 1/2 a page, now you got to write a bit more. This is 2/3 or up to 1 page. And you are writing about your family and your community, where you're from, your experiences growing up, your experiences in school, and anything else you would like to share. So, and again, you're handing in a rough copy and you're handing in a final copy. And with all of these assignments, you can always reach out to your teacher, reach out to me, and just say, I have a question about this assignment. I'm not sure how to start it. I'm not sure what's required. Then just by all means, phone me, call me, send me a Facebook message, and I will do my best to help you through that question. Some students have even sent me their work in progress and be like, is this good? Is this good enough? Or am I doing the right thing? Does this make sense? That kind of thing. And then I'll just shoot them back a quick response saying, yeah, you're doing great, or you did this part well, but you forgot to include this, right? So it's just stuff like that, right? So yeah, don't be afraid to reach out and ask any question or express any concern. There's literally, there's no situation where you shouldn't have asked me a question, right? But there's definitely times where you can hurt your success in this course by not reaching out and not asking questions. All right. Yeah, a lot to go over in the first course, but let me just let's just get right back into our slide deck. We've only got about 10-15 minutes to go here, but that's okay. Right, so we covered the we covered the study guide, we looked at Unit 1, and now we can just talk a little bit about the novel, right? So there's a lot of content found in your course handout. So when you go to the Unit 1 handout, you will see assignments, but in between the assignments, you'll see additional information. There's a lot of stuff about grammar and the parts of speech, and I'm going to cover a lot of that in my classes, right? So your reading material is the unit handouts themselves, and of course our novel. So we are going to talk about a novel called Jimmy Comes Home. It's a great book. It's only 83 pages long, so it's a relatively short read. It's 83 pages divided up into 12 chapters. It's the first book, so it's book one in the Green Star Lake series. So this author, Robert Checkwich, he wrote several books in a series, and then Jimmy Comes Home is the first book. It sort of kicks off the series. So if you need a copy of this book, or if you need a copy of any of the other resources, then by all means, please reach out to me, and I'll make sure you get it. All right, so with our remaining time together, I just want to jump right into some actual English instruction. I know that was a lot of preamble, but I think it's important that students pay attention and just situate themselves in the chorus, know what's expected of them, know how to answer the questions, know who to reach out to for help. And now we'll just jump right into our discussion, okay? So I like to do a word of the day. Typically with my classes, there'll be some sort of fun activity. At least I hope it's fun. I know they're fun for me. So even though we're doing this at the last part of the class, I'll be incorporating this in my next class. So we'll start off with something fun, like a word of the day, or I'll share an article with you. An article that was published recently in a newspaper, or we'll have a look at a famous quote, or we'll look at a story, or we'll look at something fun and interesting to sort of get and we call that a minds on, to get ourselves into the activity, and then we'll take it from there. So we'll do our word of the day, then we'll do our parts of speech, which is a very critical part of this course in the early days of it. And then we may not have time to talk about the writing process and lesson 1, but for sure tomorrow we will be able to get to that. All right, so I will incorporate the 7 grandfather teachings into the chorus, and at the very least we'll just bring up each one of them and just have a quick discussion about them, and then see how you can incorporate them into some of the assignments that we'll be covering in OLC4O. So my aunt Frances is also an adult educator, and she's worked in the field for decades. And I draw a lot of wisdom from her, and she's been kind of helping me out on my journey. And one of her former students actually made a bunch of images to represent the 7 grandfather teachings. So this one is wisdom, or Nibwakawin. And again, I like to incorporate Anishinaabe-Moan or Ojibwe words in some of my lessons, and I don't speak the language, but I do think it's important to include it in my lesson planning. So I'm hoping to pronounce words as correctly as I can, and hopefully get some feedback from people if I'm not. So the grandfather teaching of Nibwakawin, or wisdom, is to cherish knowledge. To cherish knowledge is to know wisdom. So this was kindly provided from the 7 Generations Education Institute, and they offer a little further explanation. So wisdom is to live with vision. So Nibwakawin is to live with vision, commonly referred to as wisdom. And I love how they break down the words. So Ni is the soul within, Wa is pertaining to sight, Ka is an abundance, and Win is the way it is done, right? So it's it's the soul seeing the world, right, and perceiving it in an abundance. The beaver represents wisdom because he uses his natural gift by altering the environment for his family's survival, right? So that's great, right? So it's using your knowledge and your wisdom to to make things happen, right? And I think that's kind of personally, I think that's a great definition of wisdom, and I love thinking about it that way, especially when we think about education And I think that education, when it really matters, it's not just memorizing things and being a robot and just spitting back what's told to you. This course that you're taking right now, OLC4O, is a chance for you to alter your environment, for your family survival, for your survival, and for your life to be more meaningful, right? It's using those skills, using those reading and writing and other communication skills, and putting it into practice. In English, we have the word wisdom, which is of course a noun. It's the quality of being wise. Listen to her words of wisdom. The body of knowledge and experience that develops within a specified society or period of time. The wisdom of the Aztecs was almost lost after the Spanish tried to erase their culture. So it's um, different cultures define different words differently, of course, right? And so it's different world views, different ways to perceive the universe, and this, the great mystery, as I've often heard it referred to from Anishinaabe people. I love that phrase, right? So it's but yeah. So wisdom can just be, yeah, kind of two ways of looking at it. It can be sort of like a static thing, or it's just like stuff that's collected in books, and it's knowledge and it's good to know that it's experience too, right? So wisdom is not just facts and information. Wisdom is also experience and just knowing how to be in the world, and knowing how to just knowing how to influence the world, and knowing how the world works. I was thinking about how the seven grandfather teachings, there's a corollary or an analog, which are just kind of fancy words for meaning that something is similar. And of course, in the Christian world, we have the seven deadly sins and the seven holy virtues, and they're on either side of a spectrum, right? Um, so there's pride, and the opposite of pride is humility or being humble. There's envy, and then the opposite of that is kindness. There's wrath, and opposite of that is patience, right? So, from time to time, I'll be giving you some key words to keep in mind. So there are synonyms, and these are words with the same meaning or a similar meaning, right? Because so a synonym is usually a similar meaning. It might have the same meaning, but usually it's a similar meaning. It's like a close meaning. And an antonym is a word with the opposite or very different meaning. Yeah, actually, yeah, just given how much time we have today, it doesn't make sense to really delve into the first assignment. That's absolutely where we're going to start tomorrow. So tomorrow's class, we'll jump right in and we'll just start tackling assignment 1. But before we do that, I just want to cover some important concepts that I'll be going over throughout this course, and one of them is the 9 parts of speech. So I wanna focus on this concept, and we'll come back to it throughout this course in several different ways. So in the English language, we have 9 parts of speech. And every language is going to be different. So some languages are going to have some of these. They may have aspects that aren't included in English, but in English there are 9 of them. There's 9 parts of speech that you need to be aware of, and it's really going to ground our discussion of reading and writing. And I want to just emphasize to students that we're going to be talking about writing in a way that we're not always going to be focusing on grammar and spelling and the technical aspects of writing, but it is really important to understand certain terms. And the goal is for you to produce good or great or even excellent writing that means something to you, that means something to the people in your life, especially when you're telling the story of your own life. So first and foremost, just want to remind people that's what we're here for. We are here so you can be a better communicator and you can be a better reader and you can produce writing that you're proud of. And I think that's going to happen for sure. But so I don't want to lose sight of that bigger picture, but I also want to make sure we spend time talking about these 9 parts of speech, and we can ground our discussion, and then we all know these technical terms, and they are terms you should definitely know. So a noun is it names a person, place, or thing. Examples include teacher, Sioux Lookout, happiness. So Sioux Lookout is a proper noun, so it's capitalized, capital S, capital L. So sometimes nouns are things in general. Sometimes they are very specific things, like a specific town or a specific person, or sometimes they're like ideas, like happiness or democracy. Verbs are action words. Run, ran, running. They come in different tenses, so we'll talk about that later, but they are the action words. They describe doing things. Pronouns, these are words that take the place of a noun. So I, he, she, it, right? My dog's name is Snowy. He loves to run in the snow, right? My wife's name is Natalie. She is a lawyer, right? So you say someone's name, and then in the next sentence, you use he or she or it or her or him to stand in place. So that's what a pronoun does. It takes the place of a noun. Then we have adverbs. These are how an action is done. They typically describe verbs. So they tell us how something was done. So she ran quickly. He skated slowly. He spoke expertly. So there's a verb like spoke, and the adverb tells us how the person spoke. Then we have adjectives. These describe nouns. I use the 5 senses as a good reminder. So what things look like, what they smell like, what they taste like, what they feel like, what they sound like. So soft, bright, red, sour, hot. These are examples of adjectives. They describe nouns. We have articles. These are used before nouns. There's 3 of them in the English language. We have a, an, and the. And then we have the IONs. We have the conjunctions, the prepositions, and the interjections. Conjunctions, these join words or groups of words, and, but, yet, so, for. These are probably the hardest ones to understand. I think that nouns and verbs and pronouns come a little easier. Adverbs, adjectives, and articles are a little bit harder to understand, and these ones are the most kind of technical. Prepositions, they show relationships between nouns and pronouns to other words. They tell us where something is. So inside, outside, on, under, over. They tell us when something happens. So during, after, before. And the final one is interjections. These are words or phrases to show strong emotion, like wow or hey, and they typically have a exclamation point at the end of them. They're usually like a one sentence, a one word sentence. Okay, so that is all the time we have for today's class. Tomorrow we'll jump right in and we'll start working on assignment 1. Thank you.